got it.
We're good.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So my name's Hannah Reaves. I'm a triple diamond. I'm in Susan Wade's downline. So that's kind of like the umbrella that I'm under. I've been in the business 4 years, and I don't know, drop how long y'all been in. Like, how long have you been in this business? I'm actually a $10 kit deal. So don't know if anyone was around for that. I was a $9.99er. And I say that because I feel like sometimes when we have discounted kits, at least this was one of the ways that we had discounted kits, I always kind of blew it off because like I figured I was like, like these girls aren't going to do nothing if they join for 20 bucks. Like that was just an assumption that I always like would have. And I'm like, that is so hypocritical of me because I was a $9.99er and we used to get like actual packages in the mail when I joined, like actual starter kits. And a lot of people joined for the $10 to get the free box of $100 wraps, like because we used to get wraps in our kit. So a lot of people joined with the $10 to get the free wraps. So I was kind of blown off, I guess. My enroller didn't really do much because with the 1099, like people were enrolling like 50 distributors. And so I'm here to tell you, like, I'm sure y'all have great leadership, but if you feel like you didn't have the leadership, maybe like your immediate enroller, like you don't have to have that because there's always somebody, okay? And so I just kind of worked my way up in that enroller ladder until I found someone who was willing to help me, as well as YouTube. So I was very like motivated to learn. So don't know really why I said that, but anyway, keep continuing on. So I went to conference my first year. So I joined in July of 2017. I was 19 years old. I had just gotten married. Me and my husband got married really young and we were broke. He was working, he was fixing to have to take a job out of town. I was in college to be a stenographer. And that's part of the story that we will touch on in a little bit. But it wasn't really what I wanted or thought I wanted when I started college. I realized when I started getting into shift work and like hospital and healthcare, that I'm like, like Grey's Anatomy makes this seem really cool. And this is not really cool. Like, this is not what I signed up for. And so I kind of toughed it out. I ended up finishing college and I graduated with my degree. But it was tough and we were young and like, you know, it was just a lot of struggle and it was a lot of financial stress. And anyway, so I got pregnant two months before I graduated college and I had went Emerald and earned the $5,000 Emerald bonus after conference. Conference lit me up in 2018. I was so excited. If y'all are going to fall conference, like conference will change your business. And especially like virtual events are great, but in-person events are even greater. And I cannot wait for February when we are back in Florida, because that was the first time that I had really like, wow, like I see a future here. Like I see, like I could actually do something with this. Came home when Emerald earned that bonus. 2 months later, I went diamond. And that's kind of where my story gets a little interesting or relatable or whatever you want to call it. So I went diamond in May and I pushed really, really hard for double the next month and it didn't happen. And it kind of sent me, I had never really not gotten what I went for. Like I was a mass enroller. I had really, really quick success in this business. And that was the first time I guess you could say I quote failed. Like, cause I went for a goal and anytime that I had tried to promote, I promoted. Like it was promote or die. And I always promoted. I promoted to Ruby. I promoted to executive and emerald and diamond. And it always happened. And when I tried to go double and it didn't, like, I didn't really know what to do. And I was like, okay, like this is cool. Like whatever, I'll try and go double again. And it didn't happen again. And I was like, and not only did it not go, like, did it happen, but my paycheck actually dropped some for my diamond as well. And I was like, what the heck? And it kind of put me in this downward spiral. And I sat at diamond for 2 years. And when I say sat at diamond, I don't mean I sat at diamond pay. Like it was, I went diamond and I fell all the way back down to executive because of my effort, because of inconsistency with me, because of I would push the gas really, really hard for a while and then I would let off. I would get diamond back and then I would let off. I would get diamond back and I would let off. And I kept doing this teeter-totter thing because I am a mass enroller and I do feel like I did feel like I was very, very good at this business, but I'm like, why am I stuck here? Why am I stuck at diamond? And I knew the answer and the answer was me. But like I didn't, like when we're in that circle, sometimes it's really, really hard to admit that the problem is you when you're stuck. It's nobody else's fault. It's not your enroller's fault. It's not your downline's fault. It's not your sideline's fault. It's nobody's fault except for you with where you're at. But that's also good and bad. So the success that you have is your fault, but also where you're at, if you're not happy with it, is also your fault. And so I really, like, God did a lot of work on me in those 2 years, because I'm a very, very red personality. And when I joined, it was very much for me reasons, selfish reasons. And I steamrolled, and I, really I wasn't the leader that I needed to be to carry a double team. Okay. And so that's what I feel like God really humbled me and taught me a lot in those times. And that's something that I really want to make clear, is when you're going through different valleys, ask what it is that God is trying to teach you so you can learn it and move on. Because if you don't learn the lesson, God will give it to you again. And he will give it to you again, and he will give it to you again until you learn it. And there are some things that I've had to learn even since then, but there's also things that I learned, and I'm like, oh, never again. I do not want to learn that lesson again. So I've learned it, and so I was able to move on. Anyway, so I did that whole diamond, not diamond, diamond executive, diamond Ruby thing. And in 2019, I had some of my immediate, like, there was a group of us, a group of girls, and we were all like diamonds and doubles. And some of them left, and these were like my best friends. And I didn't quite know what to do. There was a lot of drama going on. There was some stuff that we won't get into. And I was like, God, like, am I supposed to be here? Like, because I prayed about joining, and I felt you call me here. And I've prayed multiple times about me. Like, I know there's more for me. This can't be it. Like, at this point I was making like executive Ruby pay. Okay. And that was really hard for me. Like I said, I'm very red. And I had seen the 4-figure diamond and double or diamond checks. And so going from that to Ruby and executive was very, very hard on me. And so I'm like, is this all? Like, I'm so confused. And I have never thought about walking away except in December of 2019. I was like, I know I can do it. I just don't know if I can do it anymore. Like, that was where I was at. I see myself as Ambassador Diamond. I see it. I see my name on the stage. I see the top 150. I see this. I see that. I see all the things, but I don't see how I'm supposed to get back to Diamond and go double. I don't see how that's possible. And with all the other external things that the enemy was using to confuse me, because that's something that I really want to make known. If Satan can't really like get like a whole, like, he does it in very sneaky ways. So he started making me doubt, like, can you do this? Like, can you really? You maybe can see the 3 miles from now, but you can't see the next step. You can see the destination, but you can't see the path in front of you. That's where I was at in December of 2019. Okay. And so never thought about walking away except for that brief, like 15-day span. And I just prayed. I was like, God, if I'm supposed to leave, I'm very, 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 me and God have a pretty tight relationship. So I'm sorry if you don't. Like, I reference that a lot. But I just prayed, God, give me peace. If I'm supposed to stay, give me peace. But more specifically, if I'm not supposed to walk away, do not give me peace. And I wrestled with this, and I could not like get my calmness about leaving. So I stayed and was like, okay, like, I'm staying. So now what? I know you don't want me to just stay for executive. So now what? Went to conference 2020. So this was like pre-COVID. COVID was like still in China. Okay. We weren't really sure what this was. We weren't sure if it was real. We weren't sure if it was like, what's going on. Okay. Remember those times of just pure bliss and ignorance? Yeah, I missed that. That was where we were. I went to Florida. Okay. Had a great time at Florida. I was ready to go. Came back. All of my friends and all of my uplines left, like my immediate uplines. I was like, dude, what the heck? Like, at this point, I'm getting paid as an executive or a Ruby. And this is very important to my story. I had 1,800 group volume. Okay. 1,800. It was teeter-tottering between 17 and 1,800. Ruby was like sometimes happening, but sometimes not. Okay. Came back, found out I have a 1-year-old at this point. His name is Case. He was not quite 1 yet, and I found out, surprise, I was pregnant. And we were so excited. It was very unexpected, but we were very excited. You can get pregnant on 3 terms of birth control. That's me. Okay. Was not expecting it at all. Okay. A little bit after that, found out we were pregnant. My husband actually lost his job in the oil field because of COVID. So we're in Texas. Oil field is super huge around here. Supposed to be stable, not stable. And he lost his job. So I was like, okay, God, like, what are you doing? This was March. Okay. So this was a few months after. I was trying to get my feet under me from conference. Like, things were like, okay, but like not, I mean, I was making a Ruby paycheck, like not enough to support us. And my husband lost his job. A few weeks after that, we found out we were twins. It was twins. So not only was I pregnant, but like I was also pregnant with twins. I found out by myself in the OB office. Like I said, I have my degree in sonography. So like I knew when she put that probe down, like, oh gosh, that is definitely 2 babies. And I went in thinking that I was like 6 weeks pregnant. No, I was 14. So my due date from December went to the end of September, and we were currently in April. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm almost 4 months pregnant. I'm due in like 4 months. Like, what on earth am I going to do? And it was a decision in that moment. It was a decision. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting on my couch and I had just gotten off the phone with my mom. And I was like, Brock had lost his job. And I was like, what are we going to do? Like, I literally, this was like, there was no stimulus. There was no like, unemployment was just normal unemployment. You know, there was just like not a whole lot of things. Like, I'm like, what are we going to do? Like, oh my gosh, we've got a 1-year-old. We've got twins on the way. My husband just lost his job. Like, God, what are you doing? And I just had clarity in that moment of just run. Quit trying to figure out all the things. Quit trying to get out all your notebooks and all your planners and all your things and just start working. And that's what I did. And I went from being paid as those lower ranks to a double in 3 months. And I went from 1,800 group volume to 18,000 in 3 months. And it was purely just decision and ignorance on fire and all of the things of just, I don't care. I'm not trying to figure it out. I'm getting out of my own way. I'm getting out of my own head. I know God has called me for something higher than what I'm currently doing. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing the work and praying that he's going to bless the work that I do. So went double in June, and then this is kind of, sorry, my story is it's kind of long. But I feel like some of it's are important. So my twins were born, okay, September. They were a month early. They were born in September. They were born very, very, very ill. We almost lost one of them. It was terrible. That they had a lung disease and they have no idea where it came from. They had no idea what it was. They had never seen it before. My youngest twin was on the highest level of life support that he could possibly be on. We had to have the conversation more than one time that he probably was not going to make it. And if these steps didn't work, like there was nothing else that they could do. And so I say that because this business carried us through. Me and my husband both were able to be there. We didn't have to clock into a job. We didn't have to worry about how our mortgage was going to be paid. We didn't have to worry about me and him going to work and switching off and covering shifts and doing this and doing that and doing the other. We were able to 100% be fully at the hospital, fully present. And God took care of that, you know, and God, because of the work that I had done in months prior. So, you know, not only are you supposed, like, yes, work for what you want, but also work for the life that you don't know is ahead of you. Because I am just a testimony of that God can take care of that with that hard work that you've done in the past. And by the grace of God, we witnessed a miracle. And my baby is 100% healed. There is no deficits. There is no disabilities. There is he had brain damage from not having enough oxygen to his brain because of the lung issues that he had. And he has no deficits, nothing. He's perfect. So I say, God is good. God is so good. So we finished off the year, went triple in January. I took my husband's account double in March. This year's kind of been a little weird. I'm not going to lie. The vibe, it's been a little weird. But I'm so excited to finish off the year, and we're running for presidential by the end of the year. So that's my story.
It's so freaking powerful. That's why when I saw it in the VIP page, I was like, this girl, especially everything that's going on, because I know me and you have kind of talked about how, especially with everything in 2020, I feel like a lot of people either used it as an excuse to get stuck or to stay stuck because of everything going on behind the scenes of being scared, being worried, not knowing what the future is going to hold. And instead you took that as an opportunity to completely change you and your family's lives, future. But not only that, it also, like you said, was able to allow you to be in the hospital for moments I couldn't even imagine. And I think that most of us couldn't even imagine. So just to clarify, how many times would you say that you had to kind of rebuild your business? Or did you was it like one main time of rebuilding and you just kind of stayed stagnant?
So I'm going to be like really honest with y'all, because I always admire leaders who are super vulnerable and just kind of like tell you exactly what it was. I built myself 100% to diamonds. I had really not anybody working. Okay. If I had someone, it was like one or two people would place like a order. Okay. And this was with old charting. Okay. So like Cammie, I don't know if you were around with the old. Yeah. Okay. So like this was old charting. So like to go diamond was a lot more boxes, a lot more volume, like people. And so I did that by myself. And so when I say that I like went diamond and lost diamond and went diamond and lost diamond, that was me. Okay. Because I didn't really have a structured team working. Okay. So this was purely like I couldn't even blame my downline in the aspect of like, they're not doing what they're supposed to, because they had never really done what they were supposed to. They just weren't working. And so I literally was just, like I said, I'm so red that I just filled the boxes with distributors, and then I filled the boxes with volume. And so I'm here to tell, like, that can be done. Get yourself to where you want to be. There's no excuse for that. But at the same time, like, I also had to evaluate my leadership. Like, why was my team not working? Where was the breakdown? How did I need to be better? I asked God to show me the leadership qualities that I could be better at. And those were things that I really like looked for in myself during that time. But it took me a while to really understand that. So, but I would say that I went diamond and lost diamond based on my work effort probably 4 times, like probably a good solid 4 or I don't know, 3 to 5 times. We'll say that 3 to 5 times in the span of the year and a half, 2 years. Of just running really, really hard for a few months, getting diamond back, making those paychecks, getting comfortable, getting complacent, taking a break, taking a day off, which turned into 2 weeks off, which turned into 2 months off. Okay. And I always did the, like, I'm going to post and I'm going to throw some slides up on my story. But as far as like actively building my business, like, that's what I mean, like, by taking a break. Okay. Cause I was still like posting and that kind of stuff, but I wasn't doing the things that I knew were like really going to propel my business forward. And so probably 3 to 5 times, probably closer to 5. So.
No, literally the definition of resilient, you guys. I can't tell you how many people, like, I haven't ever met anybody who has rebuilt this many times, but also 2, she had only seen a diamond paycheck. Okay. You hear about people that have seen triple, pres, ambassador paychecks and their businesses have fallen apart. Those higher paychecks, people know what's possible, so they keep coming back. But when you just see a diamond paycheck, which is great, especially if you come from a broken family, if you're not used to a good paychecks or making a lot of money. But when it's just, we're talking $2,000-$3,000 a month and you're constantly having to rebuild for that, guys, like, the resilience that this girl has, that you don't have an excuse to not do it if you know that your purpose is in this. So I want to kind of touch on, you said that you had to reevaluate your leadership. And I think from the very get-go that you should always be focused on your leadership, even if you're at a distributor level, executive, because you're always wanting to start acting like what you want to become. Okay. You're never going to get to where you want to be if you're not already imagining, okay, if I want to be a triple diamond, how would a triple diamond act? So can you kind of elaborate more on how you had to reevaluate your leadership and what that was kind of like for you?
Yeah, so I really truly took the rank that I was going for, which this is applicable for any stage of business that you're in. But in my specific circumstance, double, and if you've ever heard me talk, my team is probably like, oh gosh, was my mountain was double. Like I said, I could see myself being an ambassador. I couldn't see myself being a double. I couldn't see myself leading that team. So I really had to convince myself here that I was worthy, capable, could lead, all of those things here, a double team, before I actually saw it on paper. Okay. And that was the decision that I had made right after I had thought about walking away. Okay. Was like, no, like I'm going to do this. Like I am insert the rank that you want to go. Mine was double diamond. Nothing is going to stop me from doing that. Like, I just need the fire. I just need the fire. And like, that's something I was praying for that. And you know what God did? He took my husband's job. That was the fire. That was the fire that I needed. And sometimes God will put you in those circumstances, like rise up. And like some of you may be in that circumstance right now. The world's crazy, like right now. So if you're in that circumstance, that's sometimes the fire. You don't always feel the fire. It's a feeling. You work for what you want. And that was kind of like what I had been praying for, was give me that fire, give me that fire. And it wasn't necessarily like the day he lost his job. I just felt this uproar in my soul of like, oh my gosh, like it was just, I have to. That was the leverage that I needed to like get my butt into gear. What was the question? I totally
just like, how did you, like, what changed like in your leadership?
Oh, yes. Okay. And so I just had to I had to become a double here. What was what did I imagine a double doing? What did I imagine that leadership looked like? Were they doing power hours? Were they doing Zooms? Were they doing one-on-ones? Were they doing X amount of host to post? Like insert whatever. Like that's the place that I had to get to. And so I had to and I also had to evaluate like the team that I did have. And this is something that I have really tried to implement the last year and a half of my business. If you are faithful with a little, God will bless you with a lot. And so I don't care if you have 0 working distributors or you have 10,000 working distributors. If you are faithful with what God has given you, whether that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how many ever distributors you have on your team, if you are faithful in taking care of that group of distributors, God will give you a lot of distributors and people. So it doesn't matter if you take care of them, it doesn't matter what they do. Okay, hear me. It doesn't matter if they're working. It's not about, I say it's not about them. From a leadership standpoint, this is about you, okay? If you're taking care of them, regardless of what the effort that they're putting in, okay? You're faithful with a little, God will give you and bless you with a lot, okay? And so that was something that I really, truly tried to implement during that time in my business, and I still do. Like, and I'm human. We're all human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to have shortcomings. We're going to have funks and off seasons and things that go through these different stages. But as a whole, like if you're faithful with a little bit and you take care of what God has given you, you are showing him that you are capable of having more. Okay. Same thing with finances. If you're faithful with a little bit, he can trust you with more. Okay. And so those are the kind of the principles that I tried to really work into my business. And just like I said, analyze where I was and why. Okay, because good, and I'm just a firm believer, good, bad, ugly, and everything in between, you are where you are because of good, bad, and everything in between decisions that you've made. I very much take ownership of where your life is at. Yes, there are things that happen that are beyond our control. Yes, 100%. Like that is what it is. But in regards to business, like, yeah, sucky things can happen. But as a whole, you are where you are because of things that you have chosen to do or not to do. When you go triple, you did that. That's awesome. Congratulations. We all want to take credit for our success, but nobody seems to want to take responsibility for the loss. Nobody wants to take responsibility when it's like, ooh, why am I still sitting at distributor? Why am I not going Ruby? Why am I not going Diamond? Why can't I go Presidential? And guys, I'm in this season. So that's why I feel so confidently that I can talk to y'all about it. Okay, I am not a Presidential Diamond because of Hannah Reaves. Because of things that Hannah Reaves has not done. Because I'm not acting or have not acted like a Presidential Diamond should be. Okay. And that's not like a negative thing. Like if I was acting and I don't want to say like if I was acting, because I feel like you do the things now to get you where you want to be. But like I'm saying, you're not where you want to be. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm not making sense.
No, it makes sense. It's not a negative thing, but it's just there's so much. I think even up until the day of your promotion, and even sometimes after hitting your promotion, you still have so many things to learn about that position. And like from my standpoint, we went triple as a team really, really fast, but I didn't sustain it because I wasn't at a triple mindset those first few months. Okay. And I was talking about blowing money. Okay. Not being, financially, I just lost the word, but anyways, you guys get it. There's so many different things that tie into it of finances, mindset, leadership, everything. And so she's not saying it to be a negative thing, but it's just the truth. It's just the truth.
Like if I was doing everything that a presidential diamond leader was doing, then I would be presidential. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, so I have to figure out what area am I lacking in? And this is not a poor, pitiful Hannah talk that I have with myself. This is okay, do better. Okay, start again, start better, start higher, that's the thing is I'm not a wait until Monday type of girl. I'm a just start tomorrow type of girl. Like, because when you continue to wait, like, you know what? I think I'm just going to try and start going presidential on Monday. Like, no, start tomorrow. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, analyze where you're at, insert whatever rank you're going for. Ruby, executive, emerald, diamonds, double, triple, prez, ambassador. It's constantly, leadership is a constant, like, where are you and where do you want to be, and taking ownership of where you are and how can you be better to get to the next level. Okay. So that's what I was trying to say.
Okay. So I want to get a little bit more vulnerable. Something that I believe so strongly in is spiritual warfare. So I'm also, just like Hannah, very religious, and especially throughout the last year, I've gotten so much closer in my faith with God. And it's kind of crazy. If you guys don't know about me, I literally moved to California a year ago. Okay. In the middle of the pandemic in September, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be living my best life. We're gonna have so much fun. And to me, California is a very dark place, especially LA where I live in. It's a very dark place. And now a year later, I know God brought me here to bring me closer to him in every way. But one of those things that I really went through, and especially Hannah, is spiritual warfare. And it's a very real thing. And the devil, like Hannah said, is so sly and so sneaky. And he will come in so many different forms. Okay. I had one of my best friend's mom tell me not too long ago, that network marketing stuff is just not sustainable. And it was somebody I trusted. Okay. So when that happened in the moment, I was kind of like, oh my gosh. I actually called my mom the next day and was like, Mom, am I crazy for like still wanting like this to be my life, my future? Like, should I go back to college and get a degree just to have like fall back on? Like, what should I do? My mom was like, no, that's not crazy. She's like, you got to quit listening to outside influences. And as soon as my mom told me that, of course, like Hannah says, that peace, anything in life, any choices you make, if it comes with peace, it's always from God. It's always from God, okay, first. But also, too, the devil will come in so many different forms. He'll come in your forms of your best friends. He'll come in forms of people that you trust, mentors that are giving you advice, all these different things. And until you understand that discernment of understanding, is this from God or is this from the devil, you're not going to be able to make the right choices to lead you down the path that you're supposed to go. If I hadn't been called my mom, okay, I'm not gonna make this about me, but if I hadn't called my mom, I probably would have listened to that advice. So Hannah, can you touch on what like outside influences did you have? Like, get a little vulnerable with us. Talk about like those the way the devil just really worked and how he was sneaky and sly and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so I think there's lots of examples that I can go into, but like when I very first started, I'm from a really tiny little town, like small town gossip, like all the things. And it actually some family on my husband's side, like, started giving me lots of like dirt. And this is how it started for me, is like, well, people from high school were giving me some dirt, like, oh my God, like, what is she doing? Like, I had some like friends of mine from high school like block me on social media or be ugly to me, like, and those were things in that time in my life that I was very mentally weak to, because I just hadn't ever experienced that before. Like, I was like a nice girl in high school and like did never want to hurt anybody's feelings and like never wanted to offend anybody and like all of the things. And so that really like hurt my feelings. And, you know, then, you know, some of my husband's family like were like, every time I would post something on social media, like they would come and make a horrible comment on like my post, or like share my post with something really ugly attached to it, or, you know, tag me in whatever, or tweet about me, or like different things. So that, and when very early on in my business, that is kind of how Satan made me, I don't want to say doubt, but like kind of messed with my head a little bit, because I was just like, that was so new to me. And that, you know, I think in terms of like spiritual warfare, like where you are, there's just different levels of how he can mess with you. And the stronger you are, the sneakier it gets. Okay. And so that was something that I had struggled with at first, but later in my business, okay, and these are things that I've always struggled with worthiness. Okay. And I've used this example a lot of times. Satan will pick at the scabs that you already have. Okay. So a good analogy that I use is, what does he tempt alcoholics with? Alcohol. What is he going to tempt drug addicts with? Drugs. He's not going to tempt someone with what they're not tempted by. Does that make sense? So if my fear or my struggle was always worthiness, so where was he going to pick at? You're not worthy. You're not good enough. You're not, like, it wasn't so much like you can't do it, because I knew I could do it. It was more like, you don't deserve that. Do you remember when you did XYZ? That's why you're not worthy of this. Do you remember when you made this mistake? Yeah, that's like, God's not going to bless you because you did that. Like, those were the types of thoughts, because I've always just struggled with like, with the fear of like not being worthy, not being good enough to have X amount of money per month. Like, that was what I struggled with. And so you have to identify, and this goes with every point in your life, where are you weak? Where are those insecurities at? Where we all have them. Like, we all have those areas that are like open wounds, or maybe they're like somewhat healed wounds, but they're still a scab. Like, there's still a scab there. Like, you have to identify where those are at. And when you know that that's your weakness, you also know how to combat that. Because I know my weakness was, you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough. That was something, worthiness was my struggle. I know that when I have those thoughts, those are not from Christ. So when you know where the source is coming from, it's much easier to like not listen to it. And so that's one of the tips that I have, is like, truly evaluate, what do you struggle with? Do you feel like you're not good enough? You know, if you want to share it, put it in the chat. If it's like too private, then don't. But like, you know, analyze that. Where is that? Why do you feel like you can't be an ambassador diamond? Why? Why do you feel like you can't go double? What are the reasons? And that's something that I've done with myself. And I've even struggled with that with presidential. It's funny because sometimes you think, especially like in those littler ranks, I don't want to say littler in a derogatory way, but just like executive, ruby, emerald, when you're not making like, oh my gosh, huge amounts of money, it can be really easy to think that when you go double and you're making X amount of dollars, that you just don't have problems anymore. Or when you go ambassador, like, ambassadors don't have problems anymore. How can you have problems making X amount per month? But I'm here to tell you, like, we're all human, and it doesn't really matter what amount of money that you make. Satan comes in all forms. And it doesn't really matter if you're making $5,000 a month or $50,000 a month. He finds those ways to pick at those scabs. So you have to know, you know, if you know in war, if you know where your enemy's weakness is, where are you going to attack? Their weakness. Why? Because it's their weakness. It's the same thing with so spiritual warfare for the context of this Zoom, or thoughts of that in your head. Okay, so if you know where the weakness is, you know how to protect it. And how do you protect it? You fill yourself with the truth. God says you are worthy. God says you are good enough. Well, you're good enough to die for, because he did that. So why the heck are you worried about it? You know, like, so those are the types of things that I had to analyze, and I still have to analyze it. This is a never ending process. Just because you do it once, the mountains that I had to climb to go double are not the same mountains that I'm having to climb in my head about going presidential. Okay. So it's an ever evolving process of being better, growing more, doing better. Okay. And so the same thoughts, they're along the same lines, but they're different for me going presidential. And honestly, like, if I'm just being honest, I've struggled with it. Like, because in the ways that I have had it recently in the last 6 months is, you're not good enough to lead a presidential team. You're not that good of a leader. Who do you think you are to lead a presidential team? Who do you think you are to teach people to go double? Those are the types of the thoughts that I have had to work through. Okay. And I'm stronger now than I was 2 years ago. So I know more of how to combat that. But that doesn't mean, we're all human. We're all going to have those thoughts or those fears, or, you know, not feeling good enough, not feeling like you're capable enough, not feeling like you can do X, Y, Z. But I'm here to tell you, it's a lie. It's a lie. And, you know, if we knew, if Satan was waving a huge black flag, I'm coming to make you feel unworthy, we'd be like, just stop right there. But that's not how he comes. He comes very sneakily into our brain, into our head, into our, like, you're not good enough for that. Who do you think you are? And they're just very little thoughts that we have. And so when you have those, I recommend having those things that you combat that with. Maybe that's a verse. Like, maybe that's a verse that when you have those thoughts, you recite that verse to yourself. Maybe it's a worship song. Maybe it's a motivational podcast. Maybe it's you call your leader or your upline, hey, or give them a text. Like, I have a group of people that when I'm feeling X, whatever way, hey, I need you to just talk to me just for a second. Tell me I'm being stupid. I know I'm being stupid. Tell me, just tell me that. And like, I have those leaders and those friends and those mentors that I can go and do that. With, and having that system in place for when I feel attacked, where can I go from here? I think that answers that question without going.
Yes, so good. Okay, so now we're gonna get a little bit more practical. If you guys have questions, you can put them in the chat. We'll try to get to them by the end of this. But we all know, especially if you've been in the business a year or two before 2020, so much changed in 2020 and 2021 with this business and how you run it. There's so many different things. And especially me, myself, personally, I have learned you have to evolve with the business if you want your business to thrive. So in what areas have you personally seen that, let's just say, it works, or how you run your business as a whole has changed throughout the pandemic? And how were you able to, I don't want to say able to, but how did you adapt?
Okay, so my biggest thing is, if something isn't working, stop doing it. Like, there's a difference between giving something time and being consistent. Okay, we're not talking about consistency here. I'm talking about you can 100% say something like you're doing it and it's not working. Okay, then change it. And if you don't know how to change it, get with a leader of yours and really analyze that. But like I said, you can't say, okay, like for host to post is a prime example of this. You can't say host to post doesn't work if you're only doing host to post one day of the week. Okay. Like, that's a really good example. Now, if you're doing something every single day and you have been for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and not seeing the results, then that's another conversation. But like, being consistent enough, but also, and this is something that I'm really big on, being self analytical enough to know that, like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and something's just not clicking. Like, how can I change it? How can I evolve? How can I do better, be different, whatever. But something that I implemented this exactly the time that I started to promote and had massive jumps in volume. And I also, when I stopped doing this, is when I have had volume dips. Okay. That's just being vulnerable there. Is having a very, very, very concrete follow-up system. That means like if I'm so much of a person who's like work smarter, not harder. I have got 3 young dependent children. Okay. I have to change 3 diapers all at one time. All of them need their lunches made, and like the twins still have to be like fed. It's crazy. It is crazy. And so I want to do work that is going to benefit me and grow my business, but like I'm not having to like repeat lots of work. Okay. If that makes sense. So I really got serious about having a follow-up system, because if I'm going to make a contact with someone and someone is going to truly like show me interest, I don't want that slipping through the crack, because if it slips through the crack, that's work that you've done. Duke. Sorry, he's like wrestling my cat. Duke, come lay down. Sorry. If you do that work once, like I want to be paid on that work. So I don't want to let that work that I have done slip. So comments on posts, any type of interest from people, like I wanted to have that documented. And when I started this follow-up system, I can see the E-suite, like where I've implemented it, where it like peaked, where I slowed down, because I'm just a firm believer that if someone's interested in the coffee once, they're interested until they like die or they order. Okay. Like if they're interested in fat burning coffee once, they're interested forever. Okay. They may not have the money. They may ignore you. They may blow you off. They may tell you whatever. But like if they've had interest before, they didn't just suddenly not like coffee. You know what I'm saying? Like they're still interested. You just have to have that system to do it. So what I do, it's very, very simple. And like the OGs on here who've been on here for like longer than 3 years, well, no, the 222, like that was the system. That was the thing. Like when I joined was like 222, and everyone, like I always heard it and I never implemented it. I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, I don't understand why that is so important. And it's just, I follow up with people every 2 days, from two days ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago. Okay. So basically like this is very, very simple, but it can be a little bit complex. So I don't want to go too far into it. I do have an in-depth training, like an in-depth with my calendar out training on my YouTube. It's just Hannah Reaves. Like if y'all want to watch that after this. But basically when I talk to someone, if I talk to Cammie on August 23rd, her name goes down on August 23rd. So guess when I'm going to follow up with Cammie? On August 25th, because the 25th is 2 days from the 23rd. Does that make sense? And then in 2 weeks from now, what is today? August 23rd. So it's a Monday. So on September 6th, I will circle back around. Hey, Cammie, know you're interested in the fat burning coffee, like placing some orders. Do you want one in? She may ignore me. Don't care. I follow up with her every Friday. Okay. So 222 and every Friday. Forgot that part. 222 and every Friday, because Friday is most people's payday. So on Friday, hey, Cammie, putting in some orders for some fat burning coffee. Do you want one? If I get ignored, don't care. Coming back the next Friday, coming back 2 months later. Okay. Does that make sense? So people are not falling through the cracks. You can make the month that I implemented this and got going with this, my month that I promoted to double, I was hardcore following up. Like, you will order this month. I signed like 80 customers, I think. And I can see the difference of where I was not doing a system and where I implemented a system. I'm not saying that this system that I do is like the magic ticket. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is any system is the magic ticket. Okay. So yes, do the 222 if you feel like that works for you. Okay. But if it does, like if you already have a system, get serious about it. That's the point. The point is, and I'm a believer with this, with every tip that any leader gives, there is no magic sauce. There is no magic system. There is no magic message. There is no magic nothing. Nothing is magic. What makes it magic is doing it. It doesn't matter if you do my follow-up system or Cammie's follow-up system or Kelsey's follow-up system or any other leader's follow-up system. Okay. What matters is that you just do a system. Just do it. Okay. Does that make sense? It doesn't necessarily matter if you use a cleanse hosted post or a coffee hosted post. Just do the hosted post. Does that make sense? Like just that's the magic sauce, is just doing the things. not the specifics of it, just doing it. Okay. But that's what I do is I follow up from people from 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, and every Friday. Okay. Don't care if they've ignored me. I don't care. Okay. You're going to have to get over. Who wants to make $10,000 a month? Put a 1 in the chat. Okay. If you want to make $10,000 a month or anything above that, I don't know if we were supposed to say numbers on here. Whoops. Income disclosure. I always forget that. If you want to do it, then do the things. Quit worrying about, I'm going to be red for y'all with a second. So pull up your big girl panties. Okay. Pull up your big girl panties and then we'll go back to being like sweeter and yellow in a minute. Do the things. If you want to make $10,000 a month or $15,000 a month or $20,000 a month or $5,000 a month, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you joined for $500. Do the things. Because there is no reason, there is zero reason why Hannah Reaves has been successful or Cammie Wymore has been successful or Kelsey Thornton has been successful and you can't be successful too. The only difference is I've done the things, Cammie's done the things, whoever your leader has done the things. And you've obviously done some of the things too because you're here. Okay. So quit worrying about if someone ignores you. Quit worrying about if someone says no. Quit worrying about if so-and-so family member makes a bad tweet about you. Who cares? Guess what? They're probably working a job that they're unhappy with too. Because I will tell you this, and this, I don't typically talk about this, but everyone who has ever said anything bad about me in regards to this business has shut up. Why? Because I was able to support my family when my husband got laid off and be with my boys in the hospital. Okay? They will shut up. And some of them still won't shut up and they'll still be talking dirt. But you know what? They don't see your bank account, so they don't get an opinion. They're not coming and paying your Suburban payment. They're not coming over and paying your food bill. They're not coming over and paying for $400 in formula for your twin boys. So do they get an opinion? Absolutely not. I still have family members who are like, what on earth is she doing? Do I care? No. Because I make more money than their degree does. And I never talk about that. And that sounds so arrogant. And please know that that does not come from an arrogant place. That comes from I got over it. I got over it. Because we have one life. One. And you can either waste it, living it for someone else and live mediocre. And that's okay if that's what you want to do. But I don't want to live mediocre. And 2020 and COVID and all of that has taught me that. I don't want to take one single moment for granted. Because we see how fast things can be taken away and changed. Okay, so that's my red personality coming out for y'all. It doesn't, it comes out a little bit sometimes, but sometimes I censor it and I don't need to. But no, you have one life. Nope, sorry, Katie, you go ahead.
No, you're fine. There. Nope, go ahead, finish. You're good.
But quit living it for everybody else and what they have to say about your silly network marketing business. There are, 88% of women who make over 6 figures a year are in network marketing. So why the heck are you listening to whoever who's not making 6 figures a year in network marketing? Okay? Why? I understand it's family, it's friends, it's so-and-so, they whatever, they love me, whatever. Just because they love you doesn't mean, I'm not going to go to my 70-year-old grandmother and ask opinions on how to work my network marketing business. She doesn't understand. She doesn't even hardly know how to work her smart TV. So quit taking it and that's not a negative. Quit taking advice and listening to people who aren't where you want to be. How about the next time someone says something negative to you about whatever you're doing? How about switch places with them? Do you want to have their life? Then quit listening to it. Quit listening to it. One of my biggest, he's always been a supporter. My dad has always supported my business, but he's also very like financial security, like be secure, like you need a stable job, you need to go to college, you need to get a degree, blah, 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 blah. Like he doesn't do that anymore because he sees the importance, okay? And he loves me more than a lot of people. That doesn't mean that he didn't like question me and my decision to do this full time. And I have a good healthcare degree, okay? So, but do I want to trade places? Like, no, I would 10 times rather do what I'm doing. Why? Because Hannah makes the rules, not a hospital, not someone telling me I do or don't have to do whatever, not telling me I have to do this or do that with all the junk going on. I get to make my own decisions, okay? And that's what was important to me. And I get to raise my baby. Okay? So quit listening to what everyone else has to say. And if God has put that desire in your heart, then that is your permission. That's your permission. If God has put that in your heart, that is your permission. Okay? Good? All right.
Okay, so we're gonna stay on the little red train because I kind of had a laugh about this. Right at first when you were talking about your huge volume jump, everybody in the chat was like, what was she doing? Tell us all the things you're doing. And you know, as a leader, sometimes you have that laugh because even me, even at a place right now where I'm not where I want to be in my business, I know it's because of me, but I still want you to kind of touch on what do you do every day? Let's just give the people what they want. Okay. So just kind of touch on that and how, like, I mean, maybe something did change. Maybe you did run your business a little bit differently. So if that's the case, we would love to hear that too.
Okay. So I just got this is very simple. Okay. And this may make some of y'all upset. You're like, no, like that's not what I want to hear, but it's the truth. I quit doing this. I'm going to do my 6 list like 2 days and then stop doing it for a few days and then pick back up and do my 6 list for a few days and then stop doing my 6 list for a few days and then wonder why I'm still at Diamond. Okay. Like the problem was me and me not being consistent. I dare you give your business a consistent every single day, 90 days and just watch. Just watch every single day. With the exception of your Sabbath, you get your stuff done and you quit making excuses and you quit, not working your business because you'd rather watch Netflix. And I'm not an anti-Netflix. That's not what this is about. Like I have a show right now that I am loving. Okay. This is you get your work done first and then you have your time. Okay. Because every single one of you who put a 1 in the chat wants to make $10,000 a month. Would your job be paying you right now? If you were putting in the same effort that you're putting into this business, would they pay you $10,000 a month? If the answer is no, and you answer that honestly, that is the problem. It is the effort that you're putting into your business. If an employer was rating you, would they give you a $10,000 check? $10,000 check. Be honest with yourself, because if you're not honest with yourself, you're going to set yourself up for a lot of confusion and a lot of anger of why am I not where I want to be? And it's because you won't admit to yourself that what you're not doing. So be very honest with yourself. Do you deserve whatever paycheck you're going for? Would an employer pay you that? If the answer is no, then up your game. Okay. And it doesn't matter whether you're doing this full time or you're working full time or you're a full-time mom or a full-time whatever, like just do the things. Just do the things, because I am living proof that you can work this business working full-time, not working full-time, no kids, all the kids, twins, no twins, toddler, no toddler, husband not working at home, which is another kid in itself, husband having a job, husband doing this, husband doing that, like all of the things. I feel like I've been through being in the NICU with my sick infant, not being in the NICU with my sick infant, being massively huge pregnant and with twins in the Texas degree heat, not being pregnant in the Texas degree heat. Like I've been through all the different things that I could have used as an excuse. but I chose through different seasons to continue to work my business. And so that's the thing, is just figure out, you know, number one, get consistent. I said this on the last Zoom that I was on. It is better for your business to run 1 mile every single day than to run 5 miles in one day and not do anything the rest of the week. Does that make sense? It's better for your body to do 1 mile on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and Friday than to run 5 miles on Sunday and be done until next Sunday. The same thing with your business. It is better to do, like, I don't want to say slightly less work, but a smaller increment of work every day than one day or 2 days doing 25,000 host to post and then not doing anything the rest of the week and then wondering why you're still sitting there. Okay, so get serious about working your business every single day. That was the first thing that changed. The second thing that changed was, like I said earlier, I got very, very serious about host to post, and I got very, very serious about following up. I think everything else is kind of just extra. Like, I don't want to say extra as in don't do it. I stick with the core 4. And I do a lot of work, but I'm doing the core 4 over and over. Some people call this KPIs. Some people call this 6 lists. Some people call this core 4. Whatever you want to call your list of non-negotiables every day, that's what I got serious about. I was posting every day, product, business, most of the time both, following up without fail, being obsessive about following up. If I did anything that day, it was following up, because that's work that you've already done. Get paid on the work that you've already done. Because if you don't, and you've already planted that seed about fat burning coffee in someone's head, someone else on this Zoom or someone else in It Works will get that customer. But you are the one who put the seed in their head. Do you want someone else to get paid for the work you've done? That's happened to me. I didn't follow up with someone and like, oh, I went and joined, or I went and bought from somebody else. Whoop. That was wake up call number 1. Like, if you don't get them, somebody else will. Someone else will, or another company will. So you pick. If you've put the money in their head about financial freedom, you can get them or somebody else can. If you've put the idea of fat burning coffee or fat fighters or Compions or collagen or whatever in their head and you don't follow up with them, someone else will go get them. I'd be more than happy to follow up with them. And there's lots of people out there who would do that unintentionally, because people will go find it if they're truly interested, okay? So I got very, very serious about following up. I got very, very, very serious about host to post, okay? A lot of people have differing opinions on this, like whether you do, like, you know, whatever. It is. It's what I did. And I did it every single day. I did not care if they got comments. I did not care if they got a ton of comments. I did it every day. And I wasn't focused on the ones that didn't get the comments. I was focused on the ones that did it. I was focused on the connections that I made. And it didn't really matter if I only had 1 or 2 people whose posts got comments. Why? Because those were seeds that I had planted. And guess what? I knew that I was going to be faithful in watering them and following up and doing the things. And I knew that they would eventually join. So it didn't matter if a host to post that I put up got 1, 2, 3, 5 comments, or it didn't matter if whatever. Those were 5 new names that I didn't have before. And guess what? They were added into my follow-up list. People have to be exposed to following up. I think it was like 7 to 21 times or some wild statistic like that. Okay. How many of y'all joined the very first time that you ever saw a post about It Works? I'm just going to take a gamble here and say not very many. The odds of you seeing a post over and over and over, or your enroller following up with you over and over and over, are probably pretty high. So that is what you have to do with other people. If you didn't join the first time that you saw a post, why would you expect someone else to? Okay. So you have to continue following up. And then, let's see, post message following up. Oh, and then grow your network. That's one of the number 1 things that I hear. I feel stuck. My network isn't interested. My network feels burnt out. It's slow. No one's commenting. No one's doing this. Okay, so add more people to your network. And I don't mean send out, when I say so for me, 25 new Facebook friends a day. That doesn't mean send out 25 new Facebook requests. That means 25 new accepted friend requests. Whether that's sending out 25 friend requests or whether that's sending out 250. Same thing with host to post. Like if your goal is 10 host to post, you can send 10 messages and get 10 host to post up. Congratulations. Or you can send 100 and get 10 up. Some days it's going to be a mixture of all of it. It's do it until. And that was the mindset that changed my business. I'm going to until. If I have to send 10 messages and all 10 respond, perfect, great. If I have to send 200 and only get 10 up, perfect, great, I will do it. What are you willing to do for your business? What are you willing to do to make 5 figures a month or 4 figures a month or go diamond or go ruby, whatever your goal is? What are you willing to do to make that happen? Okay. And so those are the 4 things that if I ever feel stuck or don't know what to do, or I'm trying to train a new distributor, 4 things: host, follow up, add new people, and host to post in or slash messaging, whichever, wherever you fall on that. 4 things. And I do those over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Okay, now with some leadership stuff, there are some more things in that, like, you know, charting and like one-on-ones and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like building my business, my enrollments, okay? Building or helping train your team like 4-4. That's what I do, okay? If you have something that works with you, please don't stop doing that. But like that's what I do is post, message, slash host post, follow up. And when I say message, that means like messaging for host to post, getting what I need to do to get my host to post up, to get my required host to post up, whether that's 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever goal you set for yourself. Okay. And then I follow up with the people that I've made contacts with. And then I add to my network, which if you're doing host to post correctly, you should be already adding to your network. So it's technically 3, but for the list's sake, 4. Okay.
Okay, so really fast, I want to touch on something that Hannah said too. There's so many different systems in this business, and there's gonna be people that are doing things so many different ways. Okay, if you want to see true success in this business, you have to get tunnel vision in every aspect of your business. So what I always recommend doing is find a system. If your system that you're using in host to post, in messaging and following up, whatever it is, if that system's not working, then find one from maybe somebody you trust, a mentor or YouTube video, something. Stick with that system for at least 20 days to 30. I would recommend do a full 30 days. Okay. It takes 28 days to create a habit. If it's not working after that, try something else. But don't try something for like 5 days and then it's not working. Let me try something else. If you're constantly bouncing back and forth between systems, that's kind of what Hannah was saying. That consistency is not there, and that's what you're lacking. Okay. It's really not necessarily a full system of that's the perfect system. It's the consistency of the system. It might be the system. It might be that system's not working for you, but you're not going to know if you're not staying consistent with it. And then also too, like Hannah said, I'm somebody that when I went through a dark period in my business and self, and then was trying to come back into this business, okay, I wasn't working it consistently. I wasn't doing the things. I go 0 to 100. Okay. Drop a 2 in the chat. If you go 0 to 100, like me, you're like, I don't know how to chill. Okay. Especially if you have a red personality, we don't know how to chill. And it took many times of me getting on calls with Kelsey, my enroller, and her being like, girlfriend, you can't keep doing this. I'm like, but I know I can. Like, I know I can go 100 miles an hour. Like, I know I can do all this stuff. But that's not how it's going to work. Okay. So do a little bit at a time. Watch yourself build up. Stay consistent. Okay. Like Hannah said, if you run 1 mile a day for a week, that's way better than if you run 5 miles in one day. Okay. So if you can only send out 10 messages one day, then send out those 10 messages and get consistent with it until you work your way up. Okay. Don't go from not working your business and then say, okay, I need to get 10 hosts to post up. I need to send out 100 messages. I need to add 200 people today, this and that. If you can do it, great. But I wouldn't really recommend going 0 to 100. Work your way up, but stay consistent with what you're doing. Okay, Hannah, what advice, we're going to close out with this. What advice would you, I know we've given so much, but what would be like your last little advice that you would give maybe to your past self in the business? Like we kind of talked about, I don't believe really that, I think everything happens for a reason. So you really shouldn't ever want to go back and change things, but you can always learn from past mistakes and stuff like that. What advice would you give to anybody on the Zoom that's maybe in the position that you were in, or to, your past self?
To just go all in faster. Like, I knew I wanted it. I knew I had it. I knew I could do it. I knew all the things. I just was like holding myself back, trying to figure it out. Like, I don't know if anyone's like that. I have to figure it all out first and then I'll do it. Like, instead of I'm just going to just do it and like see like where it goes from here. So I wish I would. And I don't want to say like it's my biggest regret, but it is like, it's a healthy regret. Okay. Cause it's not like I'm like losing sleep over it, but I do wish I could go back to 19-year-old Hannah and just go all in. Just go all in now. Because it took me about 3 years before I went all in. And when I finally decided to go all in, my business completely changed my life. And my business changed my life before that, like in little ways. But like I said, I mean, Diamond's incredible money. Like that's awesome that you can make that from your phone, but it's not like earth-shattering money. Okay. And I still have to remind myself that. Like, go all in, like, because I think every new level that you get, you have more to give because you've grown and because you've like come a long way. And like what my all in to go triple will not look like the same as my all in to go presidential because I've grown and because I'm a different person and because I'm stronger, and I have more to give. I have more experience under my belt, but that's something that I wish I could go back to brand new distributor hand and just like give it all you got. Like, yesterday and just watch what happens. What are you scared of? Because I think like the number one fear that holds people back is I'm going to do all of this work and it's not going to pay off. Am I right? I'm going to fail. It's not going to give me the benefit that I want. I'm going to do all of this work and something's not going to go wherever. But like, let me just tell you something. What's the alternative if you don't go all in and you have it? You're still going to like not get the results that you want. So like you pick. You can go, I would so much rather say, I'm so glad I did than man, I wish I would have. Just think, the work that you're doing right now is what's going to set you up for Christmas, for the new year. Where do you want to be this time next year? I read this thing literally today. It's on my story. Like, you can go look. It's like the most, let me read it because it's so good. I don't want to mess it up. It says there's something, where does it go? The scariest place to be is in the same place as last year. It's time to grow. Where are you in relation to this time last year? Now, do you want to be in the exact same position of where you are right now in August of 2022? If the answer is no, which it should be, we should always want to grow and be better. Like, I'm so proud of where I am, but does that mean that I want to be here this time next year? No. I want to be better. I want to be more. I want to be, I want to grow. That starts today. That doesn't start August 1st of 2022, and then you're magically going to be somewhere different August 31st of 2022. That starts now in August 2021. Okay, and so that's something that I wish I would have told myself is quit wishing for things to change and just start working now, and quit waiting for Monday, and quit waiting for when so-and-so's not doing this, or when you have the perfect circumstance of life. Because guess what, guys? Life is always going to throw you curveballs. If you're waiting for things to settle down, newsflash, it's not. And that's something that I've really had to come to terms with the last 6 months because my life has been chaotic. Like, do it anyway. Do it despite. Okay? And so that's something that I wish I would have understood earlier. So like, if anything, take this wisdom or whatever you want to call it of 4 years of doing this business and be like, man, if I would have put my all into my first 3 years of my business, how much further would I be? I'd be an ambassador, and I know that. And that sucks. That sucks for me to like, ugh. But that's the same thing that we were talking about earlier. It's that you are where you are because of decisions you've made, good, bad, ugly, and everything in between. I'm not an ambassador diamond because I didn't do the things that I needed to yet to get to ambassador diamond. Okay, or presidential diamond, or insert your goal there. But if I would have went all in the first 3 years, I'm very confident that that's where I would be. But I didn't because I had to figure it out. But I'm here to tell you, don't waste 3 years trying to figure it out. Just decide. Just decide now to go all in. Because like I said, what do you have to lose? Because if you put half effort into it, you're still not going to get the results that you want. So you might as well go all in and give it everything you got, because I promise you, going all in and giving it all you got, even if you don't meet exactly where you want to go, you're going to be 10 times more ahead of where you were going to be if you just put half effort in. And that's what I would go with.
Hannah, thank you so much. I appreciated it. I'm sure everybody else on here did too. I know that in the chat, everybody was fired up. So I really appreciate not only you taking an hour, but an hour and almost 20 minutes out of your night from your beautiful babies and your husband, and spending it on here with us, pouring into everybody. We really, really appreciate it. And everybody, thank you so much for staying on and being respectful of Hannah's time. I know we went overboard. So hopefully you guys can all take a little bit from this. And Hannah, again, thank you so much. Okay, guys, have a good evening. Let's crush this week and end it strong. Bye, guys.
Bye.